Hello and welcome to Examining the Effect of Esports Gaming Clubs on Special Education Student Motivation to Attend School. My name is Jacob Morella, and my co-author on this study is Dr. Enrico Gandolfi. The introduction to the problem for this study is that current research shows the benefits that esports has on student motivation, but despite this, there is a specific population, namely special education and behavioral and socio-emotional disorders, that has been neglected for these kinds of interventions. While current research does show promising results for how effective esports is in schools, there has been a lack of progress with these kind of interventions with the above mentioned audience. And there is even evidence that suggests that the students with these labels feel that they are not being properly served and supported. So the goal of this study is to take those practices, such as esports in schools, and then apply it to that population. So upon creation of an esports club in a special education school, the study will look for themes and student response to the club. Students will complete surveys on motivation at the onset of the study, the midpoint, and the end of the study. Data on student schoolwork completion and attendance rates will be collected as well. This study aims to evaluate the impact of an esports club in a school that enrolls only students labeled under special education. If you are asking yourself what exactly esports is, well, the E stands for electronic sports, and it's the use of gaming technology to compete player versus player in video gaming. It's the direct competition between human players using those games on various devices and platforms. And while traditional sports viewing requires viewing on cable, esports became so accessible because you can get it through streaming. And it's this combination of a sports model with the accessibility of streaming that has led esports to reach such massive viewing numbers. Some of the most common games that you'll see in esports is things such as StarCraft, Street Fighter, Super Smash Bros., Overwatch, Rocket League. And looking at prize pool totals, the top 10 in esports was Counter-Strike Go, Dota 2, League of Legends, Fortnite, Call of Duty. The guiding framework for our study is split into two. Our first framework is that response to intervention model that Kearney and Grassick developed, and it's a model aimed at improving attendance and decreasing absenteeism. It refers to a systematic and hierarchical decision-making process to assign evidence-based strategies. Critical features of the RTI include universal screening, continuous progress monitoring, and a continuum of evidence-based interventions, database decision-making and problem-solving, and the fidelity of implementation. Our second guiding framework is the self-determination theory. And if you look at the graphic on the right, you see that autonomy, competence, and relatedness are the three factors that come together to increase motivation within a student. And according to this theory, everyone seeks to satisfy those three needs. So by implementing that structure, we hope to give students the framework they need to be successful in the study. Looking at the data about esports, we can see that the viewership for it reached extremely high numbers. In 2020, it was 215 million, and in 2022, it was 261 million. When you combine both enthusiast and casual viewers, those numbers reach 435.7 million in 2020 and then 532.1 million in 2022. And part of that success is because they embraced a medium that kids and young adults are tapped into daily, that being the internet. As of 2017, 94% of young adults in the US use the internet. And in 2021, it was found that 97% of 3 to 18-year-olds had access to the internet at home. In the school, esports has four key components to it. First, there's gamification, which is that gamified learning experience that brings motivation to the students by making learning fun for them. There's the positive impact on student attendance. Once a program like this is implemented, it creates a positive impact on their desire to attend school. There's further student factors affected by esport use in school, such as school grades, homework, educational and occupational aspirations, the benefits to self-esteem, and much more. And then lastly, the social emotional benefits. With the targeted audience of this study, that's an extremely great factor to consider because of things such as the positive increase in both self-awareness and self-management. And lastly, the need for intervention. Students with these disorders have lower school attendance, and symptoms of these disorders are a major reason for absentee from school. For each of the disorders considered in the survey, average attendance rates for students with a disorder were lower for those than without a disorder. Because of this lower attendance rate, this intervention was needed to help these students with these disorders. A description of our club is that it will look like a weekly meeting for each participant of the club. Students are split into groups based on factors such as age, skill set, social compatibility. They gather for weekly sessions that include direct coaching in the game being played. In our club, we are starting with Rocket League, time to practice new skills, and time to scrimmage against one another. The club is comprised of 25 students, all of them being 6th through 8th graders at a behavior school in Ohio. All 25 students are male and all have an individualized education plan. The best practices for this esports club are the 5 following. First, purposeful practice is when you give students time to practice, you are giving them meaningful examples to follow and giving them time to explore and learn new skills with meaning. Second is effective feedback. When you are giving students your coaching and your feedback, it is all about constructive and productive feedback and not about tearing down ability. The third is effective practice sessions. By creating a structured environment with purposeful meaning and effective feedback, you create these sessions where students are able to get the most out of their time and no time is wasted. Fourth, the self-determination theory plays into this by students finding the motivation to improve their own skills and compete within the club. And lastly, no joystick coaching. When your athletes are participating in their game and they are playing their matches, you don't want to hover over them. You let them be them. You let them make mistakes. You let them learn and grow. First reactions to this study were mostly positive. Students were extremely enthusiastic at the idea of playing video games at school. Who wouldn't be? Student participation was mostly positive, with students willing to listen to feedback from the coach. And in fact, teachers reported positive outcomes from the program at its early stages. Some of the feedback included better student attitudes after participating, students showing up to school on days they had esports, and improved behavior when participation in esports was used as a behavior incentive. But with the audience and with the school being used, there was absolutely going to be challenges, and challenges that do still exist with this study. There's oftentimes issues with student willingness to fully participate and to fully buy in or listen to the coaching. A lot of times there's issues such as, I don't need to be told what to do, or I got this, I don't need you telling me anything. And then handling frustration was another big hurdle with these students. And there's often behavioral issues that arise that would disrupt the coaching. And further, there's numerous confounding variables that could not be accounted for, such as erratic attendance, loss of privileges due to behavior, and increased aggression amongst students. It would be typical to see fights occur as a direct result of a loss in a match. And lastly, the overall size of the school does not offer large numbers of students, making the population available to this study rather limited. Next steps for this study, we expect to yield results consistent with those with general education students. In the general education, we have seen remarkable improvement in student attendance when esports extracurriculars are involved. We expect to see a similar trend in the data with the special education students. To collect the results, it will be 2 parts. First, student attendance will be monitored before, during, and after the implementation of the eSport Club intervention. The team will be looking for trends in attendance and monitoring if there are any rises in student attendance during the period of the intervention. The second part of data collection will consist of participants completing a baseline, midpoint, and post survey to measure a student motivation's changes. The survey students will complete is a written motivation questionnaire designed to assess 7 key reasons for motivation. Future applications. Further exploration into this in special education is undoubtedly required. There's so many different avenues to take this, and there's so much research to be done. I had mentioned at the top of this study that there's not a lot of research into this specific demographic. So there are so many avenues to continue with esports within special education, specifically within behavioral needs. Some potential future topics could include esports to improve problematic behaviors, academics and behavioral students, improve engagement in students with multiple disabilities, or even to improve social skills among special education students. Again, the authors myself, Jacob Morella, and my co-author, Dr. Enrico Gandolfi. We are both Kent State University. Here's our emails. If you have any questions, anything you'd like to add, please feel free to reach out to us. We would love to hear your feedback. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your conference.